My name is Sam Jackson,
And my name is Courtney Toomey.
and this is our Great Lakes lake trout aquaculture plan. Lake trout are a common game fish species found in the Great Lakes. They are known in certain locales by the names mackinaw, togue, or gray trout. This fish is an important staple of the Great Lakes fisheries and is valuable both recreationally and commercially.
Historically abundant, this fish's population has now declined in the Great Lakes due to the introduction of an invasive species, the sea lamprey, and decreased spawning success due to the decline in water quality. By aquaculturing lake trout and by releasing juvenile fish into spawning streams, we hope to mitigate the destructive effects that these stressors have on the lake trout population. Well, Sam, why are the trout important to the Great Lakes?
So lake trout are important. They're a valuable game fish species. They're challenging to catch, they're hard fighters, and they're excellent table fare. They're very good to eat. So by ensuring that there is a healthy population of these fish, we stand to strengthen the local and state economies. And with more people coming to use a healthy resource, local economies are going to benefit. Fishermen are going to stay in hotels, they'll eat at local restaurants, and buy gear and tackle from local shops. This influx of fishermen also benefits the state's ability to conserve natural resources through profits made in fishing license sales.
Lake trout are also commercially important. Both netters and hook and line fishermen rely on the lake trout and other species to make their living. By ensuring that there is a healthy stock of these fish, the livelihoods of the fishermen is secured. Lake trout are a top natural predator and a keystone species in the ecosystem, meaning that there are various other species that depend on their success. Top predators act as enforcers in the ecosystem, ensuring that the population of other species is kept in stock. Why are lampreys a destructive species?
So lampreys, they're an invasive parasitic fish. They were introduced to the Great Lakes back in the 1920s. They survive by latching onto the host fish and sucking their blood and fluids, kind of like a vampire. These fish have a suction cup mouth with a ring of teeth to latch onto the fish, the host fish, and they have a razor sharp tongue that they use to cut through the flesh and scales of the hosts, such as lake trout.
Lampreys also excrete an enzyme that keeps blood from clotting, so that even if a lake trout manages to shake a lamprey off, they are still likely to bleed out. Most host fish will die from attack directly or from infections that come afterwards, causing a significant decline in the health of population in these fish. So what does the average life cycle of a trout look like anyways?
So lake trout spawn in the fall between September and December. They're similar to an anadromous fish in the ocean. They go from the ocean into a stream to spawn, except they're going from a lake into a stream to spawn. And so they spawn in either streams, sometimes over an open lake bed, but usually in streams. Fertilize eggs, they fall to the bottom, and they get caught in the rocks, and they'll remain there until hatching in the spring. That usually takes between 4 to 6 months in the wild. That's due to the cold water that they're in, and that slows the metabolism of the eggs down and prevents them from hatching sooner.
This process is much faster in an aquaculture environment because the water is maintained at a much warmer 60 degrees Fahrenheit, increasing the metabolism of the eggs and shortening the time needed them to develop and hatch. So our aquaculture process. Temperature is a huge factor contributing to the growth and development of lake trout. Eggs reared and spawned in water 60 degrees Fahrenheit grow about 1 inch per month. At 45 degrees Fahrenheit, they grow less than 1/4 inch per month. A vertical fish egg incubator is used for fertilized eggs and while the alevins still have their egg yolk. The stocking density of the incubator is most productive at 110 ounces or 8,000 fry per tray.
In order to grow the fish to a somewhat mature size, we'll move them from the incubator to hatchery troughs with a water temperature a little bit colder than the troughs, down about 54 degrees Fahrenheit for 6 months. During that time, they're going to grow to between 3 and 5 inches long, so a young adult lake trout. This is where they would emerge from the river gravel beds in the wild. Hatchery troughs, they're going to be pretty big. They're 64-gallon tanks that are 7.5 inches deep and 16 feet long. So, kind of long and skinny and like a stream where they would actually be grown in the wild. These juveniles will then be released back into the ecosystem once they reach about 5 inches. At this stage, they'll be able to fend for themselves, they can get their own food, and they're less susceptible to predation.
Lake trout are a very important piece of the Great Lakes trophic food web and environment, and using aquaculture to maintain their populations will rebalance the ecosystem as well as help to support local economy that relies on its success.